Melissa, who is going to pour into us tonight, which I'm really excited about because how me and Melissa kind of got connected is when you go triple, you get invited to the Lifers page with It Works, which is really cool. You just get to connect with all the triples and above. And a bunch of us on there, I don't know, beginning of the year almost, decided that once we hit triple, we wanted to push for pres. And so we just kind of created a group in a Facebook Messenger group. And, you know, we are all in there helping each other. And there's just so much power in sidelines. And I feel like my first 4 years in the business, I just really depended on my Ambassador Diamond and what we were doing as a team. And then, you know, as I've gone to more events and branched out more, there are some incredible leaders that are doing incredible things. And just by sharing the information with each other, you know, it just sparks new ideas, new fire, all of that good stuff. And so I've had Melissa on a call before, and I really, really love her story, mostly because she went diamond in like 6 weeks, and we all need that in our life. But, you know, having her on this call, we're definitely able to dig in a little bit deeper, get more information, and just kind of know what's working for her right now in this season of her business. So I am going to give you the floor and just have you start out by sharing your story.
Okay, yay, thank you. Okay, so thank you first of all for having me on. I love getting on these and talking to you guys, and thank you, Tamika, for doing this for the second time. Like, I absolutely love it. I invited a couple of my girls on, so hopefully you guys don't mind. But I joined It Works on Christmas Day in 2014, which is really weird. I forget that I joined on Christmas Day. That's in like our ambassadors like downline, because they're like, who joins on Christmas Day? I did. So I was working in retail management. I had been with Victoria's Secret for, gosh, it was like 11 or 12 years. And I had 3 babies under 3 at the time. And my husband was a police officer, is a police officer. And he was working nights and I was working days, and he was working weekdays and I was working weekends. And so we had these 3 babies. We had a newborn, a 1-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And him and I didn't Tuesday to Saturday. It was something crazy. And so our babies were basically being run, you know, or raised by our daycare, which we were lucky to have a really good daycare. It was right down the street from us, but we were paying like $2,500 a month for these 3 babies to be in daycare. And I was working at Victoria's Secret, and It Works hadn't really come over to the West Coast yet. I had never really heard of it, but the person who enrolled me had gone to Bible school with Sherry Lynn Alcala, who is our ambassador diamond. She's number 2 in the entire company. So she had gone to with Sherry. So Sherry signed her up. She was talking about the wraps to all of our managers and to all of our associates, and everybody wanted to try them. And so I was like, yeah, I want to try them. I just had 3 babies in 3 years. Like, this is not the same. Like, like things shift, things change. Like, it's not looking good. Like, sign me up for these wraps. And so she sent me her website, and I didn't buy anything. And a couple weeks later, she had said, you know, like, I think with the connections that you have, you would. And I was like, girl, you are crazy. Like, I was barely getting 3 hours of sleep a night as it was. I was working over 60 hours a week. But she planted that bug, like that bug in my ear, you know, and had she not brought that up, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And it's so crazy to think about, because, you know, when I did decide to join, I didn't tell anybody that I was going to join. I didn't even tell my husband. Like, I didn't tell anybody. So basically what happened was that particular holiday season was insane. We were running on, I mean, you basically in retail management during the holidays, you're like October, and then with Victoria's Secret, it's through the end of February, because you go through Christmas and they have semi-annual sale, and then you have Valentine's Day. So it just doesn't stop. And so it's a 24-hour operation. I had multiple stores that I was running. And so I literally was like, just so burned out. And then with my husband working opposite schedules, we didn't have a Christmas tree that year. We had no presents for the kids. Part of it was because we couldn't afford it. Part of it was because I was so tired and burned out. And honestly, like, looking back, I kind of realized I had to, you know, some post. And for some reason on Christmas Eve, I just remember praying, and I wasn't religious at all. I grew up Catholic, and it wasn't for me, and I dropped it in college, and I never even thought about it again. But for some reason, Christmas Eve, I prayed that I just needed something different. Like, I just didn't want this to be what my life was about. I didn't want to be away from my kids. And the next day I logged onto the website to buy the wraps and hit join instead. And it was I still don't know why I did it, but I'm so glad that I did. Like, it's literally like a but God thing, because it's, everybody always says that God brought this business to them, but for me, this business brought me to God. So I guess in a reverse way, he also brought it to me, but like in a very different way than I would have ever expected. So my enroller quit right after I joined, literally dunzo, out the door. And so I didn't do anything with the business. I sat on it, and about a month in, which was semi-annual sale, I was like, like my girlfriends, and see what can happen. So I invited my 8 best friends over, didn't tell them what it was for. I was always like the house that got everybody together. Like, we were always that family that like brought the families together, you know? And I was like, hey, come on over. I have champagne. Like, there's something I want to tell you guys about, but I didn't tell them what it was about. Like, I have champagne, I have fruit, like muffins, like let's do like a little brunch, no kids, like let's just hang out. And so they all came over, and I kind of did like a wrap party. I was just basically like, okay, so this is what I just got myself into. I have no idea what I'm. You guys will do this wrap, and I can just take before and after pictures, and can I just practice like on you? And they all said yes, of course, because I had champagne. And so they were like, yeah, sure, like whatever. And they all joined as distributors or customers that day. And it was the very first wrap party I ever did. And so basically, that evening, and I was like, man, maybe this does work. They all had results. I had one girl that didn't have results, and she had a rash, and it was because she was dehydrated, and she tried it again later and it worked. But out of all of them, 7 out of the 8 had results. And we always say like 9 out of, we were like stoked. Like, we were like, wow, this is crazy. So they all joined as distributors or customers. And at night, Sherry Lynn had reached out to me, and she was like, I just saw you signed all these DTs and LCs. Like, I don't know who you are. You're not on my team page. Like, who enrolled you, you know, kind of thing. And she was just a diamond herself at this time. She had joined in July, and I joined in December. And so she reached out, and she's like, do you know how to chart? And I was like, chart what? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And obviously back then, you needed 5 people to be Ruby. My first day that I actually worked the business, which is crazy to think about. And so she helped me. She put me on her team page. I went through their boot camp that they had, and I just got to work. So basically what we did was, I didn't post on social media one time until after I went diamond, because I didn't want people to know like what I was doing on the side, because I had worked so hard in my corporate job that I was afraid that if I posted socially that I would have repercussions. So I never posted anything on social media. But what I did, we scheduled wrap parties the same day. And I said, okay, you joined, let's schedule a wrap party. I have one day off this week. Let's make it happen. And we just wrapped. And like Tamika said, I went diamond in 6 weeks from the very first wrap party that I did, solely from wrap parties. My aunt did them for me, my cousin, my mom. I was like, every single day off that I had, I was doing some kind of wrap party. And every party that I did, I signed at least 1 distributor and 1 customer. I don't think I've ever done a party. A lot of times it's just like, it's so low key, you know, like I just keep everything like really laid back and fun. And so Sherry had posted about the $10,000 diamond bonus, and that's what really got me interested. Like, when I went Ruby that first day, and she was like, we have this $10,000 bonus. This is what you have to do to get it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna get that bonus. Like, that'll pay for daycare for like, I don't know. It was $20,000 actually. When I did it, it was a double. So it was $20,000. So in my head, I was thinking that bonus will pay for a year of daycare almost. Like, that's how far removed I was from ever thinking that I could ever come that we do. But I was like, if they can get these bonuses, I'm going to get this bonus. So I just literally, anytime I had time off, I would do a party. I would get up every morning an hour early and just read through eSuite, do whatever I could get my hands on. I would work on my lunch breaks. I would like look things up at stop signs. Like, I was like diehard. I was like, you know, that we say like go the 10X rule. I was like 100X. Like, I was like, I'm getting this bonus. And so got it, which was amazing. And so between 20,000 we were making, I was actually able to walk away from my job a few months later. And what happened was I had my newborn, and I was working 3 hours away from home. And every time I tell this story, like I get like all weird chills, like tears. But so anyway, so ignore me if I get all emotional. But I was working 3 hours away from home. I was doing store visits, and my mom was watching my baby. Thank goodness. She like never watched my babies because they were in full-time daycare. But forever, she watched the babies. And Haley was like inconsolably crying and just hysterical. And so my mom called me, and I was driving from one store to another store, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and I could just tell my mom was like, I don't know what to do. And this is my third kid. Like, she's had her own 3 kids. Like, she knows how to, you know, like everything's fine. So I FaceTimed the baby, and which sounds so crazy because she was like, so this was March. So she was like 7 months old. So I FaceTimed her. I pulled her baby mama talk, like, hey baby, what's the matter? And she finally calms down, and she has a seizure on the phone while I'm pulled over on the side of the road 3 hours away from my house. And so I black out completely, speed all the way to the hospital. I don't remember the drive at all. My mom called 911, paramedics came, paramedics called, my sister called, like my sister went to go get the other kids. Like, it was just insane. And this all happened, you guys, on March 15th, which was the day my $20,000 bonus got paid out. And to that, like on that day that I would never go back to work again. And I walked away from over $120,000 a year and decided to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids and work this business full time. And we sacrificed a lot. It's not easy in California to go from 2 incomes to 1, but $20,000 bonus and $2,000 a month income and not having to pay from daycare makes it like takes up a huge, like, I mean, it's just a huge stress relief. So I quit and I stayed home. I went double diamond exactly a year later. Was at Double Diamond for a couple of years. I actually built up to triple, almost actually to presidential at one point. And then I had a big team go to a competing company. So unfortunately, I went from Double Diamond back to Ruby. I did go back to work, which was very hard on me. But I was given an incredible opportunity with a hospital management job, and everything kind of just lined up. And it was like right away, I took that job back, but I worked so hard, you guys, every single day for a year, because I was like, as soon as I hit this double diamond, I will never work again. So I rebuilt again to Double Diamond, and then I had a big Canadian team unfortunately get recruited to Modere, so I dropped to Ruby again. But I just rebuilt again. Like, there was never a time in my life that I was like, this is not for me. Like, there was never a time that I was like, I think I'm gonna give up. Never. Like, as hard as it got sometimes. And I really had some severe postpartum depression after the baby. And that's what kept me going, was I was like, I just want to be with them. Like, I just want to be there and hit triple diamond in February of this year. And my husband went triple diamond in March. So now we're both triple. And ironically, most of the people that left came back. And the team that I have now is the very most amazing right team to have. Like, they left because, you know, maybe something was going on personally. And I honestly, like, it was a big part of me to learn how to forgive, forget, give grace. The right ones came back. And when the right ones came back, we went triple diamond so effortlessly. It was almost insane. Like, I had fought for these ranks for so many years. And then all of a sudden it was like, it just clicked. And it was right people, right place, right time. And I would do the whole thing all over again, like all over again, to be like where we are right now. And we just found out last month or the month before that we're top 138. I'm top 138 in the company. And I thought it was me and my husband, but it's just me, which is crazy because they don't rank them. But I got that email, and I was like joking with the team. I'm like, I think they emailed the wrong person. Like, I'm not sure what happened. But they emailed the right person, and it's just been like such a crazy journey, and I have loved every single second of it. And I am 100% a full-time work from home mom. I will never go back to work again, and we are working on retiring my husband from being a police officer. So that's like our next like big goal. So
I love it. And I learned so much about your story, and I'm even more excited that you dropped back down to Ruby a couple times, and that you'll get to kind of like share that mindset with us. So I just want to kind of reiterate a couple things that you shared. And it's just interesting because you said at the very beginning that she just planted the bug. Like she just asked, and then the bug was planted in your head. And I know the same thing happened for me. And so I know a lot of times we're we get that feeling, we want to message, we want to talk to these people, and we're like, we know you'd be awesome in this business. And they say no. And like, but we did plant a seed, and the right people it's going to bloom with. And it's interesting because, when you said yes on Christmas, you had no idea that your baby was going to be having a seizure that day. And like, because of this business, like everything just fell into place. So that's so special. And it's always hindsight, right? Like you always look back and you're like, man, I'm so glad I said yes. And I'm so glad the person asked, and I'm so glad they didn't give up on me. And it's interesting that she waited until the day after you joined to quit, like, thank goodness.
Yeah, I know, right? That's actually a really good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I don't know if my internet's going out or yours is. I know that there's a little bit of a delay every once in a while. So I like keep moving around my house trying to find it, but I don't know what's going on, but I think it's not too bad. But anyway, so I just kind of wanted to know, when you first started out, you said that you just, to go from distributor to Ruby in one day happened because of a party. And then from like getting charted for Ruby, and then 6 weeks after your first party going diamond. And I know so many people want that right now. And, they say that they're doing social media, they say that they're doing belly to belly. But one thing that I really got from your story is like, there was no doubt in your mind that you weren't getting it. It's kind of like how I felt like you were just doing whatever it took, no doubt in your mind, you were earning that $20,000 bonus. So can you maybe really share how much work it really was on top of working a full-time job, on top of having 3 kids? Like, I mean, it's hard, and people need to know the hard parts of it and then be willing to do it to have it, honestly.
Yeah, totally. And I think the fact that my husband worked nights probably was to my benefit, and my kids were all young, so they were getting up every couple hours. But I can probably tell you that it's sleep for that. Like if I knew that I wanted it and I was going hard for it and there was nothing that was going to stop me, and my husband knows me, and I've kind of always been that person, like I'm an all or nothing. So if I decide I'm going to do something, like you really can't talk me out of it. And so I just did it when he wasn't around because I didn't want him, like if I was working like 24 hours a day, he'd probably be like, you're crazy. Like my first month, we did the math and I made like $1 an hour or something crazy. But I just posted on my page. So we made $1 a month the first month, but now we're making $103 a month. So, but back then I didn't know that was going to happen. I just knew I wanted this bonus because we needed the relief, and I didn't want my husband working nights anymore. I didn't want him working on the streets anymore. He works in one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the US. And so I just made it inexcusable for me to not get it. And I just made sure that every second that I had, I just went for it. And it was like a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Like I would do that 6 weeks for anybody that's pushing for a promotion, or you're pushing for diamond, or you're pushing for double, or whatever you're pushing for. Like you got to turn off the Netflix, there's no BV and TV. Like you got to eliminate all that extra stuff. Like you have to sacrifice family time for a very small amount of time to gain so much more time with them in the future. And I think for me, I just realized really soon, because back then you had to have 24 distributors to go diamond. Like what do you need now, 16 or 14 or something? So I just had that, I don't know how to explain it, that I had to be all in and I couldn't have any excuses. And I wanted so badly to prove people wrong, because every time I did talk to somebody about it, they were like, what are you doing? You make great money. Like, why would you do this side thing? Why would you waste your time? And for me, I was just, every time I did that, I'm like, I'm gonna work a little harder. I'm going to work a little harder. I just wanted to prove everybody wrong, because I had never heard of network marketing, multi-level marketing. I never heard of any of that stuff, but I can guarantee you I read that comp plan the very first day that Sherry reached out to me and taught me about charting. I was like, comp plan, and husband read the comp plan to make sure I was understanding everything correctly. And I just didn't have I wouldn't let anything get in the way of me doing it. I think I made the decision and I went for it. And that's just what it was. And I built to diamond on my warm market only. So like I said, I didn't post on social media at all. So it was all just through personal interaction. So imagine how much time that took versus posting on Facebook and messaging a couple hundred people a day. Like now we're like, go message 100 people, you know, and back then it was 4.5 years ago. Back in 2014, you had to go meet people in person. Like Facebook wasn't a big thing, you know, Instagram. I didn't even have Instagram until my second like Ruby round, until I tried to go double my second time. I didn't even have an Instagram. So I don't know. I hope that answers. I just had this thing that I just wasn't going to not let it happen.
Yeah, almost like.
And you guys have to remember, I didn't have somebody teaching me everything. I did it on my own. I watched YouTube videos. I read everything in the, hi princess. I read everything in the, you know,
I put some lipstick on, that was the mini one.
Really? So anything that I could get my hands on, I was a sponge. I was like, give it to me. I want it all.
I mean,
and I also got my, when I went back to and got my hospital management job, I also got my optician's license at the same time that I was rebuilding back up to Double Diamond, which was another season of I have no excuses. There's no TV. There's no like going out to dinner. Like I'm just going to go balls to the walls for this amount of time and I'm just going to make it happen. And you know, so it's a mindset. You just have to decide that it's going to happen and then you just work for it. And it's so easy to say that, but then to do it is like a different thing.
Yeah. And like when you're first starting out, like, and I feel like this happens with a lot of new distributors is you get those ones that are just ignorance on fire. Like this is what I need. I need 24 distributors. I need this much volume. Okay. I'm going to make it happen. And I think that we need to just get back to that, like talk to enough people, do all of the work, do all of the things. So that way you can have what you want. And exactly like you said, you got to sacrifice family time, you know, TV, going out to dinner, you know, all those things. That way you can have more later. So let's just get into a few more questions. And if you guys have questions, you can drop them in the chat. So a couple of questions that I would like to know is, you know, building back up twice, and, you know, just knowing that like quitting off the table, doesn't matter, you know, you're going to get it back. You're going to get it back stronger, you know, but like, you want to just maybe share, because there are some people in here that are in the rebuilding stages. And so maybe just any mindset or rebuilding strategies or how you kept yourself motivated and moving forward without getting discouraged.
Yeah, totally. So the first time that I went from being built for presidential and unfortunately went back down to Ruby, I decided to take myself off of Facebook and I solely worked on Instagram. So I kind of just switched my audience and built back up. And I can give you guys like how I recruit distributors. I've been joined for Diamond Empire and then also for the company. And so I've always focused on distributors. Like distributors are my jam. I'll get my, you know, 5 or 6 customers every month. Like, you know, pretty regularly, sometimes up to 20, but like DTs are my thing. I signed like 15 DTs last month and that was like a slow month for me. So I always just focused on bringing in new blood. The mistake that I made the first time, and I would highly encourage everybody to never do this, is I had this chart and all these gaps and I was basically putting distributors in all these holes, right? So then I was basically trying to plug holes in a sinking ship. This ship still sank. Like I wasn't building rubies. I wasn't building diamonds. I was trying to save my butt, you know, and I was placing people here, placing people there. And yeah, I was training them and stuff, but it did not work. And one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take every single person off my chart who is not working this business. And I'm starting over from scratch off, and it felt so good. It was scary as hell, but I worked with the people that were on my team that were working. And there was one girl, gosh, she was 14 levels deep, never met her, didn't know who she was. She was like one of my loyal customers signed up as a DT, and she randomly knew her and signed up as a DT under her. And I don't know, but she was working the business, and I was going through reports and I found her and I messaged her and I was like, hey, like you're doing really good with this business. Like, have you had any help? Like, you know, do you need anything? Like I'm your upline. And I know we haven't met. And she went diamond immediately. We linked arms and we ran and she went diamond. Now she's my level 2. And then I brought a girl on, Marissa. She's absolutely phenomenal. She was from my Facebook business page. And I had put her in a leg pretty deep too. But she was a rock star, like out of the gate. So I was like, let's hold hands and run together. She went diamond in 6 weeks. It was just really crazy. Like, you heard the doorbell? Okay, over there. It was just really crazy how like you pick 3 to 5 people only to really work with, how much of a difference that it would make, because I had spent so much time like being so sad about the people not working, and just my mindset was in such a negative spot because I was so focused on these hundreds of people not working that I didn't see these 3 to 5 people who were. I was very fortunate. My best friend's a double diamond, and she has stuck with me since day one. So I had her, my husband is my triple, and then Marissa, who's on the Zoom, was a random person who joins now, one of my best friends, and then Melissa was the random person deep second line, and it's just insane. Okay, go look out the window. It's just, it's my daddy. It's just crazy, like how much easier it is to focus on the few people that are versus the multitude that aren't. Because in our business, you can sign. I feel like every 40 people I sign, one is a runner. Like really, like honestly, and that's why I always say it's a numbers game. Like if you sign somebody. Okay, go into the door. They're not a runner, or maybe they don't catch the vision, sign somebody else. They could come back around. Like the more they follow you, the more they'll probably come back around. I've had a lot of people rejoin and be extremely successful. My one really close friend who ended up going to a different company came back and went double diamond in a month and a half. Like they will come back when they catch the right vision. So it's our responsibility to cast vision on our team and to show them what can by focusing on the people that are working for, focusing on everybody that's not working. Like that would be like my biggest tip when building, rebuilding, whatever. And if you're rebuilding, don't worry, rebuild stronger. Don't plug holes, build rubies. If you build rubies all day long, you will be so successful. Thank you, baby. Because rubies build diamonds, you know? And now all those ladies are top leaders on my team and absolutely phenomenal and completely run their own teams. For the first time in 4.5 years of my business, like I have more thankful for.
That's always nice when you have that. But I like that. Like, don't just plug people in the holes to fill your sinking ship, because I feel like we do that, or we're like, oh, I only need this much to be charted for this, and so we just place them wherever, when like that's not setting them up for success maybe. But like, why not just link arms with your runners, and it's going to happen even quicker than just filling yourself in where you want. So I really, really like that, and really just focusing in. I was listening to a book, Kelly Jo, you're gonna have to tell me which one it is, but it's like How to Build Network Marketers or something. And in the book, he talks about you literally only need 3 people. And so when you said like just focus on your 3 to 5 runners, and that's all you need to focus on, and if they focus on their 3 to 5 runners or whatever, like then everybody's winning without being stressed out who's not working.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that we need. Let's see if I can.
I'm going to turn this fan off. I think that might be what's making us have background noise.
Okay, then my next question for you is, being a high recruiter for distributors, how do you sign them? How do you get them?
Okay, so I actually learned this from Claire Flores. I watched one of her videos and I've used it for years, and I swear by it, and I hope that everybody does it. But basically what I do is, whether it's Facebook or it's Instagram, I'm more comfortable on Instagram for some reason with distributors. I feel like that community is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to like messaging and stuff. But what I do is you guys hear me? I think somebody needs to be muted, sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what I do is every week I make a list of 25 people that I come across in my Instagram feed. Sorry, I'm getting like distracted. I think somebody's unmuted. There we go. Okay. So I make a list of 25 people. Like, I'll just be going through my feed and I'll be like, oh, that's a cute picture. Like, oh my God, her baby's so cute. Or like they're on vacation or something. And I'll click on the profile, and it's somebody who's over 18, has a pretty decent amount of followers, and active on Instagram. And like their pictures are like pretty, like they're not just like random pictures of like, you know, the floor or whatever. Like you come across those accounts and you're like, what is that? I will interact with them for a week. So I'll turn their notifications on and I'll interact with them for a week. And then after a week, I reach out to them and I invite them to a work from home event. We do a work from home event on our team every single Sunday. And so every Sunday, new recruits, because I've interacted with these people. And so basically I'll put my message. I think I logged on. Let me see. I'll send you what message I sent them in your chat. But I'll message all 25 on Sunday and I'll just be like, hey, I have, it's so simple. It's so simple. I'll be like, hey, I'm having an event tonight. I love your page. Like, would you be interested in learning more about being a social media influencer? Something simple like that. I don't say anything about it, or just, and if you go to my Instagram, it's Living the Dean Life. If you were to look at it, you wouldn't think that I'm an It Works distributor, but if you click on each of my posts, every single post is about It Works. So that's another thing too, is like keeping your Instagram or your Facebook like super clean. Like if you do post before and after pictures, remove them once a week, keep your feed family, fun, that kind of stuff. But I'll send them a message and something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna put it in the chat. And then if they say that they want more info, I literally just say, okay, great, I'm having an event tonight. Can you add me as a friend on Facebook? I would love for you to check it out. And so then my Facebook is growing at the same time. And then I add them to an event. And then we have this rule on our team where anybody, like if anybody on my team wants to participate in this event or they have potentials to add to the event, they're not allowed to add anybody to this event until they comment on all, because they need to show up in order for their potential distributors to buy into them. Otherwise, it's the Melissa show. And I don't want anything to be the Melissa show. I want it to be our team show. So they physically like have to go through it and comment on 15 posts before they're allowed to add their potentials. And we get a lot of distributors from that. I mean, I probably signed all of my DTs from events. I let the event do the work 100%. So, and I'd be happy to add you to it, Tamika, if you want to check it out.
Yeah, that would be cool
today.
Kind of see what it looks like. Is it on Zoom or is it on Facebook? Like just a private event on Facebook?
It's Facebook.
Okay, perfect.
I usually do them on Sunday, but I did one today because today, the 31st, is like the exact 2-week amount that you could do the event. And so we touched on the $10,000 bonus. Like, I'll add you to it and you can totally add your team if you want to check it out. But the event's 100% seal the deal for us. And once I went social media on Sherry Lynn's team and like really started dialing into her events, that's how I started seal the deal. And I've probably done my own for 3 years and I sign everybody that way. It's super easy.
That is awesome. Okay, you guys, so we've been on for about 30 minutes. Do you guys have any questions before we, I'm just going back to our message because I think there was one more in there, but I think actually we got them. So, you know, with how Facebook has changed from when you started, or not Facebook has changed, but how the business has changed from how when you first started and like what you're doing now, what would you say is consistent that you've done from day one? And then what would you say is, you know, maybe some new things that you're trying out?
What was the last part? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, it's okay. I don't know. It's like cutting out real bad, but
it's okay.
What's been consistent from when you started working the business, like, you know, officially like in the grooves, like started working, like what's the same now as it was then? And then what are some of the things that have changed that you're trying that are new?
So for me, I would say the thing that's always been consistent is that I teach my team to do the same, And if you reach out to somebody to be a distributor and maybe they're not interested, but they've been added to your Facebook page and now they're your follower, they're going to see your product post. So at some point, they're going to either be a product model or a distributor, or somebody who does a host-to post. So I would say, obviously, like within the last year, host-to post has changed our business in a lot of ways. February, March were our highest volume, and then host-to post kind of started getting tricky. So now we either do host-to post for the only thing we'll have anybody ever post is, do you want to lose, who on my timeline wants to lose 20 plus pounds? And then they tag us in the comments. And we now sell quad threats like crazy. So like our quad threat is the Cleanse, Thermophyte X, and then the Skinny Coffee. Like my team sells quad threats more than anything else. And I teach them to start with the quad threat. And then if our customers can't afford it, to work down to the Thermophyte X. Where before, when I worked this business, I would always be really scared about doing like the higher price point stuff, because I would like think about like their bank account and their wallets. But like in this business, it's like you have no idea what anybody's financial situation is. And so I think more recently we've started with, you know, the quad and then like kind of work our way down. But DTs has always been my focus and my team's focus. And honestly, I think I went top 138 from cabs, from the diamond bonuses and from fast start bonuses. And I don't know that I've ever gone a week without getting a fast start bonus.
Yeah, cabs are huge, you guys. And one thing that you mentioned is when you first got hooked up with Sherry Lynn, the first thing you went and did is read the compensation plan. So like if you're serious about making money in this business and you want to go diamond, we're talking about cabs and you know these things, and you haven't taken it upon yourself to go and read the compensation plan, upon yourself to hop on YouTube and learn what you need to do. Like when it's all said and done, your upline can give you advice, give you tips, give you tricks and all that. But like, it's got to be your own, and you got to go out and do the hustle because no one else can do it for you. So
exactly.
I just appreciate you so much. And I'm excited to continue cheering you on in your journey. And I appreciate you being on this call and pouring into all of us tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, you guys. See ya. I'll get this recording up and ship it out to everyone. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Have a good night. Bye.